Hi friends, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing my last haul for the foreseeable future. This year, one of my goals is to embark on a no-buy or a low-buy, or as close to a no-buy as I can get. And this mostly is going to focus on not frivolously spending my money. If you are interested in this, I will leave a link down below to my other channel that will have more information about this and other things that I will be cutting out of my budget and cutting out of my life. But one of those things is book buying. Once I started my job at the library, I was great at just placing holds, checking out books. I would have over like 50 books checked out from the library at any one time, but I wasn't purchasing books. When lockdown hit and my library had to close and the ebook wait lists were just 6 months long, I started to slowly purchase books again. That turned into me buying mounds and mounds of books all the time. I've decided to stop doing that basically. I have something like 200 books on my physical TBR, and that doesn't include my Kindle TBR or my library TBR, and it's excessive. It's so excessive. I've run out of space pretty much, and I read 126 books last year, which means even if I have that good of a year again, I won't be able to read all of the books on my TBR, especially when I think about all of the books I want to check out from the library this year that are going to be new releases. I just want to stop buying so many books. I do have one caveat to this. I am allowing myself to keep my Book of the Month subscription. I think if I cut myself totally off cold turkey, I'm more likely to break down and order 20 books from like Amazon or something. But I'm hoping that giving myself that one book allowance a month will kind of like ease the sting a little bit. I also really like Book of the Month, and a lot of my anticipated new releases are probably going to be on Book of the Month. So like the new Riley Sager, that is definitely a book that I will want to buy and will most likely be a part of Book of the Month. Fingers crossed. He has in every other one of his releases, but so that is my game plan right now, which means I have to show you the 30-some, I don't even know, books that I haven't hauled yet. I don't really know what happened. Christmas happened, so a lot of these are Christmas gifts. Not a lot of them. Some of them are Christmas gifts. Some of them are Christmas gifts to myself, to be honest. And without more rambling, let's get into why you came here to see the books. First up, we have The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. I bought this mostly because it won the Goodreads Award for Best Fiction, and everyone since then has been reading it and has been loving it. All I know about this book is it's about a woman who commits suicide, and she is like taken to this library, and this library holds like every possibility of her life that could have happened and every result of every choice she could have made, which sounds incredible. I'm really excited for this. I've heard pretty much nothing but good things, so this is on my January TBR, but it's looking like I'm probably not going to get to it, but that's okay. I will get to it soon. Another book I bought because of the hype, this is The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. Everybody toward the end of last year was talking about this. Everybody was describing it as middle grade for adults. That sounds incredible to me. I actually know very little about this book. I know I've seen people read it, I've seen people summarize it, but I'm not totally sure. All I know is that it looks enchanting and amazing, and I can't wait for it. This is a book I only saw Allie from the Hardback Hoarder talk about, and for some reason it got me to buy it. This is The Butterfly Garden by Dot Hutchison. Allie said that this was one of her favorite books of the year, and I'm gonna be honest, I have no idea what this is about. It says beauty has never looked so terrifying. I don't know, but I'm really excited for this. I believe this is just good old-fashioned horror, and I'm excited. I know nothing about it, but that's how I read my books. Next up, a Book of the Month add-on. This is The Heart's Invisible Furies by John Boyne. I've heard this is heartbreaking. I've heard that it's worth the very chunky state of it, and it was the book of the year in 2017, so for Book of the Month, we'll see. We'll see. I've heard good things. I've heard some things about the author recently, which I'm not too happy about, but I'd already bought it by then, so. Next up, we have The Trial of Lizzie Borden, a true story by Kara Robertson. I actually had this checked out from the library for a while, and then I saw it in the bargain book section of Books A Million, and I was like, yes, please. So this, I believe, is nonfiction, and it just covers the Lizzie Borden case, which, love true crime. I'm really hoping to get into this fairly soon, and I hope I like it. Another Books A Million bargain book pick. This is The Need by Helen Phillips. And I don't really remember what this was about. I think I saw someone read it. I'm not sure. Maybe it was Books and Lala, maybe not. It's about home intrusion. That's fun. I don't know why, but it called to me and it looked familiar. So I bought it. And this is why I'm not buying books anymore. Next up, we have The Ravens by Cass Morgan and Danielle Page. These sorority girls are real witches. This sounds amazing. I was in a sorority in college, and if you're going to take that and make it into like a witchy book, I'm so down. So I'm really looking forward to this, and also I love all the ravens all over it. I think this is like super pretty, so very excited for this one. Next up, we have Horrorstör by Grady Hendrix. I have yet to read A Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, but every time someone would talk about this, I knew I needed to have it. I love creepy, scary books, and I love IKEA. Like, truly have like an unhealthy obsession with IKEA. Not even buying stuff from IKEA, just going to IKEA is magical. Truly, I love IKEA. It's just a known thing about me. And so when I heard the premise of this, I was gonna take it home. Another book of the month, this is People Like Her by Ellery Lloyd. I believe this is about an Instagrammer, and I think she takes photos of her family and stuff, and then she begins being stalked. I could be totally wrong about that. I had a friend who read this and wasn't totally in love with it, but I'm excited to read it to see for myself. Another book of the month, this is The Wife Upstairs by Rachel Hawkins. I'm so excited about this. I heard this is like a Jane Eyre retelling, and yes, please. I do really like Jane Eyre, and then when you tell me you took Jane Eyre and made it into a thriller, say no more. We have Watch Over Me by Nina LaCour. I wanted this after Kayla from Books and Lala read it in one of her vlogs and said it was super good. I know it's ghosty, but it doesn't translate to scary from what I've heard. Could be wrong about that. And that it's more just like touching and heartbreaking than super scary. But I love this cover, and I do love the fact that her eyes are open when you open the book. Like, details. The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. I loved Circe, and I wanted to read this for a while. I had it checked out from the library. Somebody put it on hold. I had to give it back, so I bought it. I hope I like this as much as Circe, and buying it was a good choice. Next up, we have 13 Ways of Looking at a Fat Girl by Mona Awad. I loved Bunny. I think it's kind of a controversial opinion. I did love Bunny. I have heard controversial things about this, so I'm looking forward to reading it and seeing what it's like for myself. I really know very little about it, so next up, as you can see, bargain book. This is Something in the Water by Catherine Steadman. I don't really know what possessed me to buy this. So I saw Reese's Book Club. I read it, and it said, electrifying psychological thriller. A shocking discovery on their honeymoon in paradise shatters the lives of the young couple. And then I closed it and bought it because that sounds great. I don't think I've actually ever heard anybody talk about this, which is weird because I believe it's quite popular. So comment down below if you read this and what you thought. Bargain book. This is Saint X by Alexis Shakin. I saw Emma from Drinking by My Shelf read this, and I believe she liked it. I think it's about... Yes, it's about a girl whose sister goes missing or is murdered, and then years later she runs into a guy who was like suspected of being the killer and like what she does. So that excited me. I love the cover. There's just something about this cover that does a lot of things for me. So we'll see how I get on with this. These Violent Delights by Micah Nemerever. I've heard very good things about this. I think it's funny that this has the same title as another 2020 release that has a very different plot and is much more popular. I know this is about friendship, and somebody mentioned it could be dark academia, but I'm not sure. I know it's kind of like obsessive friend group, so I'm on board. The Escape Room by Megan Golden. Megan Golden wrote The Night Swim, which I haven't read yet, but have heard great things about. And my friend actually read this, and she said it was really, really good. So I'm looking forward to it. I love escape rooms. I think they're really fun. They do lend themselves well to like horror thriller activities, so excited. Another book, the books in Lala talked about and I was like, I need to buy, is Lakewood by Megan Giddings. I believe this has elements of like testing, like medical testing and things. So I'm excited for this. I've heard it's pretty weird and looking forward to getting into it. I think I reached a point in December where I knew I wasn't going to allow myself to buy books in January, so I kind of like inadvertently bought books that I've wanted for a while, which is the opposite of what I should have done, but it's too late now. We have 8 Perfect Murders by Peter Swanson. This has been on my TBR for a while, since it came out, and I had just never picked it up. It's been on my like to put on hold list at the library for a while. Never got around to it, but I'm excited to own this. I've heard very good things. It's about a man who has a blog where he talks about the 8 perfect murders of literature, and then someone starts to murder people in that way. One of the books that I'm like most excited to read from this haul is We Ride Upon Sticks by Quan Barry. This was Books and Lala's favorite book of the year. If you've seen my video where I read all of her favorites, you would know I pretty much agree with her about everything. Not everything, but I agree with her on a lot of things, especially when it comes to weird books. I've heard this is quite weird. I know it's about a field hockey team who like makes a deal with the devil to win, I guess. Sounds incredible. I don't need to know anything else. I'm super excited to read this. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be impeccable. Now we're gonna talk about some classics. I got some Chiltern classics for Christmas, and then I treated myself to a couple more. I am trying to collect them slowly. We'll see if I buy any more this year. Hopefully I don't, and any that I do get are gifts or the like. But the first one here is Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. This is gorgeous. Like, oh my gosh. I'm not a huge fan of this book, actually, like the story, but if I was going to reread it again to give it another shot, I'm more likely to do so in a beautiful edition, such as this. Next up we have Madame Bovary. This is freaking gorgeous. I know very little about this classic. It's one that I've just not heard much about, but yet again, if I'm gonna read a classic, I'm much more likely to do it if it's beautiful. Tess of D'Urbervilles by Thomas Hardy. I butchered that probably. I'm pretty sure 50 Shades of Grey was loosely based on this, and if it wasn't based on it, it's the book that she reads in 50 Shades of Grey. And ever since I read 50 Shades of Grey as like a college freshman, I've wanted to read this book. So I'm hoping, I mean, I'm gonna be honest, I almost said I hope I liked it more than 50 Shades of Grey, but to be honest, I loved 50 Shades of Grey when I was in college. I loved it. Like, I had a year where it was just like, oh, this was great. And then the last one came around and ruined it. And the movies ruined it. But I'm still very interested in this and reading this. So I think my mom knew that. I think my mom was like, this has got 50 Shades stuff, we're gonna give it to her. Next up we have Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. I recently got rid of my like giant classic collection of Jane Austen books because I'm never gonna read a classic that comes out of that kind of anthology. So I got myself a really beautiful version of this. I love it because this one's silver. I've never read Jane Austen. I've started this book before when I was probably a little young. I think I was given Pride and Prejudice by well-meaning adults when I was a little too young to appreciate it or be able to handle it. And it probably would have taken me a really long time. And young me was like, no, 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 we read books like this. We don't have time for classics. So I'm looking forward to hopefully reading Jane Austen this year. I would like to read classics this year, but mostly I would like to read some Jane Austen this year. Then we have Persuasion by Jane Austen. I was trying to replace the 4 stories, the 4 books that were in that anthology, but I decided 2 was the better option, so I picked Pride and Prejudice and Persuasion. It's gorgeous. I love these editions so much. And finally, my mom actually gave Frankenstein and this, The Art of War, to my brother, and my brother then gave them to me because he was like, I think you'd appreciate them more. And I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna be honest, I probably do appreciate them more than you. So this is The Art of War. This is so cool looking. I've never thought about reading The Art of War, but now that I have it, I kind of really want to. January book of the month. This is Outlawed by Anna North. So I allowed myself to get 3 book of the months in January because I actually had to pay for them in December because that email came at the end of December and I was like, haha, I'm gonna be sneaky. So I'm shooting to only get 1 book of the month from here on out. But if certain circumstances arise, I can get up to 3. I'm gonna try to be good, but if some months I have like it's a heavy release month and I really want 3 of them, I'm gonna allow myself to get 3. What I'm not allowed to do is make new accounts to get more, or go on the Facebook pages where people sell theirs and buy those. This is Outlawed. I believe this is a feminist novel. Day of her wedding, 17-year-old Ada's life looks good. She loves her husband and she loves working as an apprentice. She joins up with the notorious hole-in-the-wall gang. Hell yes. I believe I bought this because it was pitched as feminist by book of the month. We'll see. I'm excited. I've never really read Western era or Western-esque things, so I'm excited to see how I feel about this. Next up we have The Push by Ashley Audrain. I'm sorry. This sounds incredible, and it's also a beautiful cover. Like, it does beautiful things. I believe this is about a woman who has a baby and then maybe things aren't what they seem. Convinced that something is wrong with her daughter. She doesn't behave like most children do. I read Baby Teeth last year and really liked it, and so I'm hoping it kind of gives me vibes like that, but maybe a little bit more satisfying. We'll see. Then we have The Removed by Brandon Hobson. This is by an Indigenous author. I don't quite remember what this was about. My book of the month was very late this month, so it's been like 3 weeks since I read the summaries for this. I know it's Indigenous, I know it draws on Cherokee folklore, and I know it's about a man who is shot by a policeman. So, next up we have some books that I got off the withdrawn shelf at work and then took off their library stuff. I did donate, so I didn't just like steal these from work. We're allowed to take like 1 or 2 books, but when I take more than 1 or 2, I always make sure to make a donation. So first up we have The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. I've already read this. I'm already kind of regretting getting this off the withdrawn shelf, and I might put it back. We'll see. I have the bad habit of buying books that I've already read and not being totally certain I'm going to reread them. So we'll see what happens with this one, but I did really like this book. But I definitely don't think it's one that I would enjoy rereading. But we'll see. A book that I'd actually think I might enjoy rereading is 3 Women by Lisa Taddeo. I really enjoyed what I read when I read this book a year or so ago. I have read some criticism of it, and I kind of want to reread it through that lens and see how I feel. Then we have Educated by Tara Westover. This was super, super popular in 2019, and I think I had it checked out and then I had to give it back, but now I can check it out for myself. Another book I checked out and then had to give back but then found on the withdrawn shelf is Becoming by Michelle Obama. My mom has actually read this and enjoyed it, so I'm looking forward to it. I love Michelle Obama. Her look on at the inauguration, I'm sorry. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Just, ugh. Another book that I checked out in 2019 and then didn't get around to. This is Evie Drake Starts Over by Linda Holmes. I know very little about this because I just remember wanting to read it in 2019 and not getting around to it, and then... Next up, we have Grown by Tiffany D. Jackson. I believe this is about a girl who wants to become a music artist, but then she starts being like manipulated and kind of groomed by a producer, I believe, an older man. So very interested to read this. I've heard amazing things about it, so I picked that up. These next two are actually my mom's, and she just read them. She got them for Christmas, read them, and then gave them to me to read. So hopefully I can be a little bit quicker about reading them, because I tend to just put them on my shelves and be like, yeah, I'll get to them, and then I forget. So first up, we have The Return by Nicholas Sparks. I give my mom the new Nicholas Sparks book every year there is one, and then she always passes it on to me to read. This is the Christmas cover. But yeah, I don't really know anything about it. She said it was good. She said it kind of took a different turn. It's a little less predictable than some of his other ones. I haven't read a Nicholas Sparks in so long, and I kind of want to make a reading vlog where I read the ones I haven't read, because once upon a time I had read every single book he had ever written multiple times. So I want to like see if I still like Nicholas Sparks, which is funny because now I'm really not a romance reader, but once upon a time he's like all I read. Then we have Clanlands by Sam Heughan and Graham McTavish. Sam Heughan is Jamie Fraser. Graham McTavish is Dougal from Outlander. My mom and I discovered Outlander in 2020, and Sam Heughan kept us company through lockdown. When it came out that him and Graham McTavish had a new show coming out called Men in Kilts, we were very excited. And then it came out that they were writing a book together, so I gave it to her for Christmas, and she passed it on so I can read it. More book of the month, because I have a problem. We have Pretty Little Wife by Darby Kane. I don't know much about this. I know my friend read it and really liked it, and that's all I needed to know. When I saw her give it a 4-star, I was like, okay, we'll buy it. Then I have Goodnight Beautiful by Amy Molloy. Books and Lala said this is one of her most disappointing books of the year, and she said it is that because it's inspired by a book, but it mostly just takes the plot of that book. So she says it reaches a point where it's not surprising anymore. I've never read the book that it's inspired by, so I mean, I've seen the movie, but at the same time, that's fine. Some books I actually got on Christmas. We have Before the Coffee Gets Cold. This has been really talked about, and I saw Emma from Drinking by My Shelf talk about it, and it sounds amazing. It's about time travel. Like, you can travel back in time, but you have to return by the time your coffee gets cold at this coffee shop. It sounds incredible. Super excited about it. And this was actually in my stocking, and I was so impressed that my mom got this for me, because she was going to buy me another book, and I can't remember what it was, but it's one that I already own or have read. I can't remember which one it was. But instead, she picked up A Woman Is No Man, and I'm so excited about this. I just don't know anything about it. I've seen people talk about it a lot, and I was so excited when I opened it. I was like, holy hell, Mom, look at you. Next up, we have Cemetery Boys by Aiden Thomas. This has been super talked about, and this is a book I can like not get at my library because the hold list is so long. So I decided I was gonna pick it up because I've heard incredible things. Next up, The Girl in the Mirror by Rose Carlyle. Sydney, my friend, who I just look at her Goodreads and then buy books that she says were good, I think gave this a 4 or 5 stars. It's twin sisters, identical on the outside, dangerously different on the inside. I am so ready. Plain Bad Heroines by Emily M. Danforth. Books and Lala read this during her reading all of the Goodreads horror nominees, and she didn't actually like this that much, but for some reason it's been calling to me ever since, so I picked it up. The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not totally sure why I picked this up. I've heard this talked about for months, and I've just never felt a real calling for it until last month. I don't know what happened. I haven't read N.K. Jemisin before, so I think maybe that was part of it. We'll see how I feel. I'm excited about it. I know very little about it at all. And finally, a book that I'm actually super excited for, which is weird because it's definitely against all of my rules about what I do and do not like. The Year of the Witching by Alexis Henderson. This has gotten a lot of hype. Kayla loved it, which was surprising to me. I don't know. Everyone I know that has read this has enjoyed it. I know it's about witchy stuff. I know it's kind of fantastical, and I know it's a series. So I don't know. I don't know. I, for some reason, just have a good feeling about it. So I believe those are all of the books that I have accumulated over the last couple of months. I know there's one more book that I'm expecting from Book of the Month because I forgot to cancel one of my extra accounts. But I will talk about that at a later date once it has come in. And I am hoping I won't have another massive haul for you guys anytime soon. I'm really hoping that I will just stick to, you know, 1 or 2 books a month from Book of the Month and read through my backlist, you know, check out stuff from the library, and just have less crap. So here's to hoping 2021 is just less crappy. Thank you so much for watching. Comment, like, subscribe, all the normal stuff, and I'll see you really soon with another video. Bye.